and entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Creatures of Habit podcast. I'm alone again today for a solo cast because I've really enjoyed peppering these solo casts into the podcast shuffle. It's been a nice way for me to talk to you guys about things that have been going on with me or things that are just super relevant in my life that I feel could potentially help someone listening. So today I want to talk about flexibility, and not flexibility in the sense of being able to touch my toes flexibility in the sense of being able to not judge myself when things don't go my way. It's a big one for me. It's a big one for a lot of us. We all want to control the outcome for things that we pursue in our lives. I know I certainly do. And the people that I surround myself with also do or would like to be able to control the outcome of everything that we pursue. It's unrealistic, and I think we all know that as well. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I just had about 3 weeks straight of a combination of things that had unfolded that were not bad. One of them, was a vacation, but there was about 3 weeks in a row where life was not consistent, where I was taken out of my routine. I was not at home. Things even at home were not normal in regards to what was happening environmentally. So I was really just sort of thrust out of my structure and my routine, which, as you guys know, if you listen to this podcast and or you follow me on social media, you know how important structure, discipline, routine is in my life. So these 3 weeks have happened. Vacation with my family for 7 days in Mexico, the day before and the day after, a little stressful. Travel, so that was 9 days, got home. I had a little bit of a Lyme flare up. That was not fun. We got hit with a massive blizzard, which ultimately shut our power off for a few days at our house. There was no school for my kids. It felt like the world kind of stopped. That threw me off. And then I had some more travel. I had to come down in the city. So there were just a number of things that just sort of piled up that made me feel out of sorts. And I found myself beating myself up. I found myself judging. And for whatever reason, I had received a couple of text messages and emails, and I had listened to a few podcasts that were geared towards this idea that a structured morning routine is unnecessary. That waking up at a certain time every day and meditating and journaling and saunaing and red lighting and praying and doing all the things that I like to do every single morning is just stressful and too much. And mornings should just be way more fluid, roll with the punches. And I found myself actually starting to question, wait a second, is this all unreal? Like, is how I feel typically, the positivity, the gratitude, the abundance that I feel because of all this structure that I have in the morning, is it a fallacy? Is it not real? Am I just making it up because I feel like the things that I'm doing are actually good for me? And what I learned about this experience was, no, I really do enjoy the things that I do every single morning that take me out of my comfort zone. However, what I need to work on, and I think a lot of us could work on, is being more flexible when the things that you tend to like to do every single morning are either not possible or you simply just choose not to do them. And it was a really healthy aha moment for me where I felt the negative voice that we all have really convincing me, man. It was like very convincing. This idea that, man, you don't need to wake up early anymore. You don't need to be up before everyone and, pray and meditate and sit in front of the red light and do the sauna and stretch and do the cold plunge and do you don't need to do any of that stuff anymore. You just don't. You could just wake up like everybody else and, allow the day to dictate your happiness, success, as opposed to you really trying to take control of it. And I was listening to that voice, and a lot of us hear that voice. A lot of us. But what I want to share with you guys today is that voice is never going to leave. That voice is not going anywhere. However, we can turn the volume down on that voice when we pay more attention to the voice that we know is the better one. The one that says, you know what? Screw it. Do it. Get out of your comfort zone. Take the risk. Why not? Yeah, maybe everybody else isn't doing it, but you can. You can do it. Do it. Go for it. Get up earlier. Sit in the cold longer. Work out harder. Take the risk. Call the friend that you haven't spoken to in 10 years that you said you hated for so long. Because taking those risks consistently are going to make you a better human being. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what works or doesn't work for other people. For me, and I'm talking about me here, I'm sitting in this seat. I've launched a business called Creatures of Habit. This podcast is called Creatures of Habit. My life is what it is today because of my commitment to habit. I am a better human being because of my consistency and my commitment to habit. And there could be a whole wave of podcasters saying that you don't need to do all these things. They're just adding more stress to your life. There could be haters that tell me I'm way too robotic and way too structured, and who the hell would want to live that lifestyle? Sure. Here's what I'm going to tell you. It makes me a better human being. It makes me a stronger, more diligent, more caring, loving human being when I know that I have the strength, the ability, the dedication to do what I say I'm going to do, even when it's really hard. So I wanted to share that. And I think what I am going to now start to implement into my life is when I don't do it, that is okay too. I just don't want not doing it to become a habit. I also recently heard that if you don't do something that you're used to doing in a positive way and you miss it for a day, totally cool. That is okay. But if you intentionally miss it the next day, that could be the beginning of a habit of missing the thing that you know makes you better. So I wanted to talk about the flexibility component. I wanted to also say that if you are like me and you do have a pretty regimented, strict, morning routine structure, evening wind down routine structure. If you're like me, you have a number of different transitional structures throughout your day. You do breath. I do all sorts of cool, crazy things throughout my day that really do just help make me a better person. And there are rules to this shit. There are, but that's okay. I always correlate it to if you're not a football fan, I'm a huge football fan, but if you're not a football fan and you're watching a football game and you don't know the rules, you don't know what they're doing, you're just watching something on TV where there's a bunch of people, you hear hike and then all of a sudden it's just like a mass chaotic experience that you're watching, right? If you didn't know what it was, you'd be like, this is a bunch of men running in different directions, trying to take each other down. The thing that you don't know if you're that person that doesn't have experience watching football or not a football fan, is that every single one of those men have a very, very clear, defined job and direction every single second on that field. They know exactly where they're going. They know exactly how many steps they're going to take to get there. They could do it with their eyes closed. And sometimes they do in practice. They literally know which direction they're running, how many steps they're taking in that direction. Are they taking 2 more steps and turning the other way and going that? And the quarterback, the conductor, scans the field because he actually knows exactly what each one of those people are doing as well. So imagine that, right? Like there's a guy that knows, boom, boom, I'm going to look there, I'm going to look there, I'm going to look there because I know that he's going there, he's going there, he's going there. I've got someone behind me that I can pass the ball to if I have to. That's what makes football such an amazing sport. And it's a structure. It wouldn't happen without structure. And it doesn't always work out. And I kind of look at my life that way. I can't control what everybody else is doing. But if I know how many steps I'm taking that way, and how many, who to look for, I'm going to feel freedom. I'm going to feel security. I'm going to feel some sense of organization. If I just wake up and just sort of let the day drag me along, man, I'm not taking charge of my life. So I got to be better on vacation. That's the truth. I got to be better on vacation. I'm telling on myself. I know a lot of hard-charging people struggle with that too, but I do want to state that just because you hear something that someone says doesn't actually mean it's qualified for you in your life. The only other thing I want to touch on after going through this is a very different topic, but it's relevant in my life, and so I think it's fun to talk about, is CrossFit. I started doing CrossFit in September, so it's now September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 7 full months at CrossFit. It is a brand new sport for me. I love CrossFit. I love CrossFit. It is a blend of so many different modalities, and every single day I am humbled. I am learning so much. It is so cool to be, I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete for a long time. I'm a competitive athlete. But for me to walk in to a place and feel like I am learning something new almost every day. Like the last 2 weeks have been groundbreaking for me in the sport. I just was never able to do a bar muscle up. I actually was just never really attempted it. And I learned how to do muscle ups a few weeks ago, and now I'm linking them together and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's like it clicked. So I just wanted to share how fired up I am about CrossFit. And honestly, I have been doing a lot of outreach on social media to a bunch of other CrossFit athletes, just trying to connect and trying to build my community within the CrossFit community. And the people in the world of CrossFit have been so open and down to connect with me and Creatures of Habit, because Creatures of Habit happens to be like a product that CrossFit athletes, CrossFitters really like. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's protein and oatmeal and a bunch of other really amazing vitamins and minerals that really do aid in recovery and are perfect nutritionally for the active human being. So it's interesting, I'll tell a fun story and then I'm going to wrap this solo podcast up. But the reason why I got into CrossFit, prior to September, I was, for the last 5 years, 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22, I was bodybuilding, strength training strictly. I was competing once or twice a year. I got my pro card in bodybuilding. Really love going into the gym. either at home or in an actual gym, putting on headphones, pulling my hat down low, and getting after it and lifting heavy weight 5-6 days a week. Love it. Still do. However, we did a deep dive on the power customers, power users. I don't even want to say customers. That's such like, I hate that fucking word, customers. Power community members that use Creatures of Habit Meal 1 every day, or at least 5 days a week. And what we found out was over 30% of those people belong to CrossFit gyms. I couldn't believe that. I was like, wow, that's so interesting how it's like such a direct correlation to a community. It was like so interesting for me. And so the team, basically, the team at Creatures of Habit, I've got one of the greatest teams I am so lucky for the team of people that I have working with me at Creatures of Habit. They basically cornered me and they said, Chernow, you need to start doing CrossFit. And I had never really considered CrossFit. I don't know. It wasn't something, I'm not like a group fitness person. And so I had never really considered CrossFit. I really am I like to compete against myself. However, I took their advice. The very next day, I walked into the closest CrossFit gym to where I live, and I was blown away by the community element and how hard the sport is. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. Like, you can make it what you want. It's going to get you fit no matter what. But there's different levels to the sport of CrossFit. There's walk into the CrossFit gym and do a CrossFit class 5 days a week and you will be in great shape. But if you want to take it to another level, it can get really intense. And that's where I'm at right now. And I love it. I just wanted to shout that out because I feel like CrossFit is such a cool sport. It's so hard. I feel like it's kind of like skiing. You are going to get better and better and better. And if you do it right and you do it well and you're under the right tutelage, you have a great coach, you can do it and not get hurt. Everybody says, you get hurt in CrossFit. Yeah, of course. You also get hurt in strength training. You also get hurt in basketball. You also get hurt in skiing, snowboarding. You also get hurt, there's many, many ways to get hurt in life if you don't do things properly. But in CrossFit, I do believe that if you are smart about it and you have a good coach, listen to your coach, your chances of getting hurt are less than if you are doing it like an idiot, and that goes for anything in life. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Share this podcast with a friend or family. Give us a 5-star rating. I would really appreciate a review. I don't get enough reviews. I'm going to start giving out a box of oats every single week. Mark my words, every single week we will now be giving out a box of Meal 1 to someone who writes a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. I will be looking at all the reviews. If you please love this podcast, give us a review and a 5-star rating. Would mean the world. Other than that, y'all, I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you listening into this podcast every week. And just know that I share my experience here. It's my opinion. I am doing it with the hopes that I can be of service to at least one person listening. I appreciate you. I love you. Until the next one. Peace.